Carl Jung said, "Awaken and shine your light for others to follow. The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." This is an invitation to move differently in the world, to operate from a place of deep knowing and alignment. I'm Adrienne McDonald, and welcome to the Source Code Podcast. Let's dive in. Hello, beautiful humans, and welcome back, or welcome if it's your first time. Happy Friday. It has been a week. I've been pulled in all sorts of different directions this week. And sometimes when I'm like that, I'll pull an oracle card before I start recording to sort of, settle myself down and get into it. And I did that today, and I will be sharing that oracle card towards the end of the episode because I feel like more people need to hear this message. So, we have now had the sun transition into Human Design Gate 41. And what does that mean? That means we are now in the Human Design New Year. When we have the sun transition into Gate 41, also known as the Gate of Contraction, that marks a pivotal point in the Human Design Mandala. It is the very beginning of the Human Design New Year. So when the sun moves into Gate 41 in late January, it's like ushering in a new energetic start to the annual cycle. And so if you're sort of feeling like, okay, all right, I'm starting to feel the new year now, that's the energy has shifted. And this Gate 41 represents the seed of all potential and the starting point of new journeys and visions and creative experiences. So we're going to talk a little bit about that today, as well as 5 ways you can work with this energy. So Gate 41 carries the energy of initiating new experiences through imagination, anticipation, desire. It's not about necessarily taking action yet. It's about the first spark of dreaming. And I think dreaming is very underrated in society. We do this very well as children, but not so great as adults. But dreaming is what fuels transformation. And I think if I was going to name the gate, I would not have called it contraction. I probably would have called it spark or dream or imagination or something of that sort. But Ra was who he was. In the Gene Keys, this gate is referred to as the origin, symbolizing the seed from which all creation emerges. And at the starting point of the Human Design New Year, it invites us to pause and reflect on the dreams that we want to nurture in the year ahead. It sort of sets the tone for the year. It's the energy of new beginnings where imagination becomes like, now you're getting to the fertile soil. Now you're like, okay, what are we doing here? It's located in the root center. And root center is a pressure center. So there is that little nudge of wanting to do something, but it's also linked to that pressure to begin something new. And it's not about rushing, though. And that's the part I want you to take away from this. It's not just rushing into it. It's about taking that space in between to really dream and imagine the possibilities that lie ahead. It is the what if energy. And when this energy is activated, whether you actually have this gate defined in your design or not, or if it's just through the annual transit, you may feel a heightened sense of anticipation as the universe is like planting the seeds out there within you, going, hey, what are you thinking about for this year? And it invites us to trust the process of dreaming and honor the natural timing of our creative journeys, because dreaming is a big, important part of the creative process. Now, in its shadow, because all of these gates have a shadow, it can show up as feeling stuck in a loop of unfulfilled fantasies or being overwhelmed by pressure to do something new. And the challenge is to distinguish between like fleeting desires, like, oh, that'd be great. And then tomorrow you're like, no, especially if you're an emotional authority, and meaningful aspirations. And as the first gate of the human design wheel, it sets the tone, like I said, for the year ahead. So this is not just an arbitrary beginning, it's a really symbolic moment to pay attention to the energy around you and make sure that you're aligning to the highest expression of your design through like reflection and intention and creativity. And again, this is not about resolutions or rigid goals. This is not like your typical Western, January 1st type of vibe. It's about tapping into creative potential within you and start to nurture and think what seeds you do want to plant so that you can have different experiences this year. It is the ideal time to dream big. It is the ideal time to reflect on what matters to you and connect to those possibilities. And again, this is also inviting in that trust. It's not only the trust with the universe and the timing, it's also developing that trust within yourself. And I think that's important to, well, let's just talk about the Gene Keys outlook on this, because I think that this really ties into the self-trust thing. When in the Gene Keys, the shadow of 41 is fantasy. And it's not that fantasies are necessarily bad. It's the when we use them as escapism. It's like getting lost in that ungrounded fantasy or longing for experiences that never materialize. And this shadow reflects a real disconnection from reality, where imagination becomes escapism rather than a creative tool. And I think that's what you have to be aware of. It's because when you're stuck in the shadow of fantasy, you may feel paralyzed by dreams that seem way out of whack, impossible to achieve, very disheartening. That's not going to help you move forward. The key to moving beyond the shadow lies in grounding yourself in your true desires and discerning what truly matters to you, not that fleeting moment crap. Or not when you get around a bunch of people and they're talking about goals and everything, you're like, oh, that sounds good. Oh, that sounds good. Without really taking time for yourself to figure out if that's really what you want to do, particularly if you're a projector or reflector. The gift, though, is grounded anticipation. It's holding space for those dreams to unfold, but without getting attached to how they have to come about. The gift of anticipation invites you to a hopeful readiness where you trust that the seeds that you've planted are going to bloom in their own time. It's about aligning with the natural cycle and flow of creation and allowing yourself to receive support from outside forces like the universe, like people. It's the gift of patience and that real strong inner knowing that comes from ironclad self-trust that your dreams are already in motion, even if you actually can't see the progress, like in your day-to-day. You gotta, like, there's gotta be some faith there. And then the city of 41 is emancipation. I can never say this word. Emanation. It is about becoming a creative vessel for life's potential. It is letting the universe work through you. That's the Gate 41's highest expression. And, that's where imagination transcends personal desire. That's about becoming like a pure channel, an instrument, if you will. And I think in the Christian tradition, they may call it an instrument of God. And this is, we've all seen in history a couple of these really brilliant people where they just radiate the energy of possibility and inspiration to others. And in the city state, it's not about doing, it's about being. It's that state of profound alignment with being the vessel. And some of us will get there, and some of us are just going to be operating in the gift, and that's fine. We might get a moment or two of that city state. Remember, we're not supposed to live in the city state. It's an aspirational thing to experience. Now, the 5 major ways to work with this energy are, let's go. 1, dream with intention. Use the energy of the 41 to consciously explore what your imagination can bring to you. Spend some time journaling or visualizing dreams or desires that align with your core values, like what matters to you, rather than setting the rigid goals and focus on intentions that someone else may have put upon you. Focus on the intentions that inspire and excite you, like really light you up. Then get into imagining the details and emotions and possibilities of these dreams as if they are already real. And I think this is an underrated part too. Like really go through the exercise of getting in to the nitty-gritty there. Then number 2, discern meaningful aspirations. Again, this is challenging us to find the discernment between fleeting fantasies and the desires that really resonate. And reflect on what you've been dreaming about. And are these visions aligned with your authentic self, or are they being influenced by external pressures? And use this time to refine the aspirations and prioritize them. Prioritize the ones that really you feel deeply connected to. Now, this does not mean that you can't change your mind later. It doesn't. But I was listening to a podcast the other day, and someone said that if a goal is birthed from you, if a vision is birthed from you, then you don't need to be constantly reminded of it. And whereas if a goal comes or a vision comes from outside of yourself, that you constantly have to remind yourself of it. So I thought that was very, very interesting. It also made me wonder about goal setting and vision building in corporate, because when I reflected on that, I was like, yeah, when we got people involved in the process, that usually flowed a little bit better, and the year went a little bit better. So just take that to heart. Number 3, practice patience and anticipation. The energy from 41 isn't about necessarily immediate action, but about trusting in the natural timing of creation. Like I said, the creative cycle is a cycle. You got to practice the art of holding space so that your dreams can actually surface within you. And this could be meditative practice, affirmation work, or simply allowing yourself to sit with the energy of anticipation without forcing an outcome, without jumping into things. And again, we go back to trust. You got to trust that the seeds that you plant now, and that the imagination part is part of the planting, will grow in their own time. And number 4, now this might be a little different. You can create a ritual for new beginnings. Harness the symbolic power of 41 as the starting point of the human design year by creating a personal ritual to honor new beginnings. This might involve getting down, sitting at your desk, lighting a candle to represent that creative spark. You could plant seeds literally or metaphorically. Meditating, I know for myself, when I have embarked on new things, sometimes I will create a talisman around that new thing. But you can integrate elements of the earth or the fire, earth being grounding, fire being inspiration, to sort of amplify your intentions. That means it's telling the universe that you're serious. Like if you light a candle when you're sitting down and you're journaling and you like look at the candle and just sort of let the creative energy flow, that holds weight and intention. So if you take a walk in the woods with the intention for the nature to inspire you in some way and give you some clues to spark your imagination, that's can be a ritual. So number 5 is embodying the gift of anticipation. Like the whole idea of becoming a creative vessel for grounded anticipation, it's a very powerful thing. If you, rather than feeling stuck in wishful thinking, use this energy to embody the trust in your creative process. And also, like if you're really stuck, ask yourself what does want to come through me. Maybe it's channeling something out there from the universe into more into a bigger vision. Focus on actions or imagining and getting into the details that support your vision, and like learning new skills or building connections or creating structures to bring your dreams to life. Like what would that look like? Imagine what that would look like. And each step, no matter how small, is, it's just know that that's part of the greater unfolding. So again, we want to shift your focus to meaningful desires that resonate with your core values. You want to practice patience and trust, knowing that the universe is always conspiring to bring your visions to life when the timing is right. And by actively engaging these practices, you can really transform the energy of 41 into a catalyst for meaningful creation. And I think it has, when you don't shortchange the dreaming part, the imagination part of the creative process, I think that the dream or the vision is more sticky. Like it's got more substance to it, and it's more likely to materialize, I feel like. And Gate 41 reminds us that every journey begins with that spark of imagination. And this is an invitation to dream and to imagine and to anticipate the unfolding of new experiences. And whether it's a creative project or a new relationship or an inner transformation, you can use this energy to encourage yourself to trust the process. So, like I said earlier in the show, I pulled an oracle card today. And the oracle card was Dove Spirit. And this is the message that I got. And it really did ground me a lot more because, like I said, this week has been really like all directions. So with her peaceful cooing, the gentle dove spirit invites you to embrace the energy of peace and allow compassion to warm your heart. You always have had the power to generate peace within you, and the appearance of dove spirit is a reminder today and every day. It is a good day to meditate, to quiet the turbulence within you as you embody tranquility. The peace you seek rises within and spreads out to the world as Spirit sends her messenger to remind you of the beauty of a harmonious existence with all that is. However disturbed the waters around you, however troubled your heart, Dove Spirit is there to remind you that peace without begins within, as you reconnect with Spirit through practices that awaken you from spiritual amnesia. Your true nature is a peaceful child of Spirit, but how easily you forget. You're being invited to sit in the cozy, safe nest of Spirit. Soon waters will become still, and you will feel peace again. Be compassionate with yourself at this time, for all of us can forget that peace is always at hand, always there, gifted to us by Spirit. Become the peace you wish to see in the world so you can reduce any suffering, performing acts of kindness and radiating love. So I think that was a great message. And I think that as we kick off this human design new year, one of the things that I'm bringing into my 2025 is more nervous system regulation practices. I think that all of us could benefit from learning more ways to regulate our nervous system. When I listened to the astrology of 2025, it from a couple of astrologers, primarily Nightlight Astrology, because I'm taking Ellen Boss's Hellenistic astrology class. It does look like it's going to be an emotional year. We have all of the outer planets moving into different signs, and that's not a common occurrence. And so there's going to be probably a lot of change and whatnot. And I just think that taking a little better self-care and a little more emotional regulation would be beneficial for the collective. I know that my design Mars, I think I've mentioned on here before, is the shadow of it is reaction. And so that's something that I have to be mindful of. And I think that one of the best ways to keep yourself out of reaction is to be able to practice those somatic practices. So I'm going to work on deepening my breathwork practice. And so that's it for this week, guys. We are probably going to go through the energy mix for February next week's episode. So I look forward to connecting with you then. As always, I appreciate you listening. If you find this helpful, please share the episode out. You can comment on social media. I am primarily on Facebook and Instagram. And remember to find beauty every day and seek the magic in the mundane. Thank you for listening to the Source Code Podcast. If you found this episode insightful and feel moved to, please leave a review and share it out with those you believe will find it helpful. You can check out my website for more information at www.adrianmcdonald.com. And for more of my more regular musings, connect with me on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, and LinkedIn. I hope you have a beautiful week.